What is going on, guys? Welcome to the NBA betting market video for January 1st, 2021. Sorry, guys. This is going to be my first attempt at doing this on a live stream instead of a set video, so the starting might always be a little bit awkward. But let's get straight into the games. 605 bets on the Celtics Pistons. The Celtics opened as 9-point favorites on the road. They've been bet down to -8.5. 86% of bettors are on the Celtics. 92% of the dollars wagered on the Celtics, which is kind of fishy considering that the line opened at 9. It's been bet down to 8.5. So possibly good value on the Pistons, plus 8.5 at -110. So keep an eye out on that market for the Pistons as 8.5-point underdogs. The money line as well opened at -411, but bet down to -346, despite 95% of bettors being on the Celtics. And for the OU, it opened at 215 for Celtics Pistons. It's been bet down to 214. 59% of bets are on the over. However, 99% of the money is on the under for that game. Let's move on to the Heat Mavericks. There's 832 bets. This game also starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time. The Mavs opened as 1.5-point favorites at home at -108. They've been bet down to +1, -104, 61% of the money on the Heat, pushing them to favorites. Or 61% of bettors on the Heat, 91% of the money, helping push that line from 1.5-point underdogs for the Heat to -1-point favorites. Next up onto the Heat Mavericks money line. Mavericks open -118. They've been bet down to +102. 55% of bets on the Heat have helped them move from +107 to -113. The OU opened at 223. It's still 223. The juice has pushed up, though, on the over up to -113 from -105. 80% of bets are on the over, and 99% of the money is on the over between the Heat Mavs. Let's move on to the Grizzlies Hornets, 7 p.m. Eastern time start. 870 early bets so far. The Charlotte Hornets opened as 3-point favorites. They've been bet up to 4-point favorites. 83% of bets put on the Hornets. 95% of the money, helping push that line up from 3 to 4. Not much else to report there. Money line wise, Hornets -147 up to -172. However, 77% of bets have been put on the Grizzlies, which is interesting to note considering that the line has moved in the Hornets' favor. However, 77% of bets have been put on the Grizzlies. But against the spread, there's probably going to be more bets than there are on the money line, considering that the Hornets moved from 3 to 4 because of the 83% bets and 95% of the money. Let's look at the OU market for this game. It opened at 220. It's been bet up to 221. 49% of bettors on the over. So not much to report there other than the 1-point line movement and the juice moving in favor of the over. Next up, we have the Hawks-Nets game. They played a very, very exciting game. I don't know if it was last night or 2 nights ago. Either way, the Nets... only 491 bets so far, which is interesting. The Nets opened as 6-point favorites, still 6-point favorites. 52% of bettors are on the Nets, so not much to report there. Moneyline wise, 238 to 238, 85% of bets on the Nets, not much to report there. The OU, 247 down to 245. 48% of bettors are on the under, and 99% of the money is on the under. I know they just scored, 280 points in their last meeting. So the original OU last game was 240. It's been pushed up to 247 after them scoring 280 points. But it looks like savvy bettors are on the under in that game, and it's pushed down to 245. Equilibrium so far this year has been 225.5 points for the OU. So 245 is 20? It's 19.5 points higher than what the standard OU is for most games. Next up, we have 643 bets on the Lakers Spurs. The Lakers opened as 6-point favorites on the road. They've been bet up to 6.5. Very similar to, I believe, what the line was yesterday or the day before, whenever the Lakers Spurs played last. 77% of bettors are on the Lakers. 67% of the money is on the Lakers. So it's interesting to note that only 23% of bettors are on the Spurs at plus 6.5. However, there has been 33% of the money put on the Spurs. So a little bit more money put down by those 23% of bettors than the 77% of the public on the Lakers. Onto the money line. Spurs open plus 178. They've been bet up to plus 221 despite receiving 53% of bets. So if I had to guess, there's probably been a little bit more money put on the Lakers money line, even though we don't have those numbers to report. The OU opened at 230. It's still at 230. However, the juice on the over has pushed up from minus 105 up to minus 110, despite 66% of bets being placed on the under and 99% of the money being put on the under. All right, we are on the home stretch here. 5 games to go. We'll take a look at the Wizards-Timberwolves game. The T-Wolves open as 1-point favorites. They still are 1-point favorites. However, the juice has moved on them to minus 114, which is a large juice movement. 57% of bets have been put on the T-Wolves. Onto their money line, it opened at minus 110. It's been bet up to minus 120. 49% of bets have been put on the T-Wolves, and 98% of the money has been put on the Timberwolves money line. OU opened at 233. It's been bet up to 234. 65% of early bettors are on the over, helping push that line up, as well as the juice from minus 106 to minus 109 after that 1-point swing from 233 to 234. Then we have Bulls Bucks, 567 bets on this. Bulls opened as 14.5-point underdogs, minus 108. They've been bet down to 4. Well, the line is still at 14.5, but the juice has come down to minus 106. 32% of bettors still on the Bulls despite the large, or I should say 68% of bettors on the Bucks despite the large spread. And the money line, one of the highest money lines I have seen, at least this year. This has been the biggest money line so far. Bucks opened at minus 1,167. They've been bet up to minus 1,178. Interesting to note, though, that 61% of bettors are on the Bulls at essentially 8-1. The OU opened at 233. It's been bet up to 234. 86% of bets has helped that line move up, and 60% of the money has been put on the over anywhere at 233 or 234. 3 games to go. Suns Nuggets at 9 p.m. Eastern. 832 bets have been placed on this game. Nuggets open as 4.5-point favorites. They've been bet down to 3.5-point favorites. 63% of bettors on the Suns, and 93% of the money on the Suns has helped push that line down 1 point. The Suns Nuggets money line. Nuggets open at minus 189. They're currently at minus 164. 67% of the money line bets have been put on the Nuggets, despite that line moving against them, which is interesting to note, but that's more likely because of how the spread bets and spread money has come in on that game. The OU opened at 225. It's been bet down to 221. I believe that's the biggest margin so far. Despite the line moving down so much, 66% of bettors are on the over, which is interesting to note. And then on to the Clippers Jazz game. There's 1,324 bets on the Clippers Jazz. Clippers opened as 2.5-point favorites. They've been bet up to 3.5-point favorites, and 88% of bets have helped push that line up 1 point. The money line minus 141 up to minus 156, and 92% of bettors are on the Clippers when it comes to the money line. For the OU, this is an even bigger jump than the last game, 226 down to 221. However, 53% of bettors still on the over. And then for the final game of the night, Trailblazers at the Warriors, 1,059 bets so far. Trailblazers open as 4.5-point favorites. They've been bet down to 3.5-point favorites, despite receiving 73% of bets. However, you can see 83% of the money is on the Warriors, anywhere from plus 4.5 down to plus 3.5. 65% of bets are on the Warriors money line, which has moved from plus 161 down to plus 142. And the OU for this game had a big swing as well, 230 up to 235, minus 112 on the over currently, and 78% of bettors are on the Trailblazers to hit the over anywhere from 230 to 235. So there's a plethora of games, guys. Hopefully you had a good New Year's Eve. Good luck using this information for your January 1st, 2021 wagers.